What's up people, this is more of an update video about these two shoes. I uploaded a video recently. It was a late upload. I recorded that video when I was in Thailand last January, and since then I already spent some time running in both of these shoes. It wasn't a proper review or impressions video since I only had done very short runs in them while I was there. This video is now a proper impressions review. I've already had a good feel for both of these. Both are already at 50-ish plus kilometers. One is at 53.4, the other at 58 something. Anyway, let's get into the Bmai Carbon 3.0 and the Carbon 3.0 Turbo. First off, I don't know how it's pronounced, if it's pronounced Bmai or Bmai. I don't see that on the website, how to say their name, so I'll just call them Bmai. I'll recap the specs from the last video, but an important note first is you need to go half a size down in these. Both are narrow shoes. A full size down might be a bit too tight, but it could work if you have very narrow feet, because if you go down a full size, the length might be right, but it might squish you in the forefoot. It might still be a bit long, but the width should be perfect. Now let's start with the upper. This part is made of a lightweight, breathable mono mesh called Kite Mesh. Guarantees dryness and comfort throughout very long durations. It's not quite stretchy, but there's little stretch to it, and it's soft, so no discomfort here. It's see-through, so you should use your best socks in these. The tongue on both is thin and soft with some extra keeper loops here, aside from the one at the center. There's no sliding of the tongue. There's an extra lace hole here for your runner's knot to give you that snug and secure fit. The heel counter is very soft. The difference on both shoes is that the Turbo has some extra padding here rather than just the two pill-shaped cushion in the Carbon 3. Overall, the upper is so lightweight and breathable. It's not stiff, yet gives you a proper race fit. As for the outsoles, it grips well and it does its job. It's a soft DSP polyurethane or PU material. It doesn't add any stiffness when it flexes. It's only 2mm thick though, so I don't know how it'll hold up in the long term. Now to the midsoles. The Carbon 3 is made of a ATPU supercritical foam called Boomfly Plus, while the Turbo version has a denser Boomfly Plus. It's made of PIBA. Interestingly, they made this just due to the shortage of materials of the ATPU one, which made them jump to another factory to make a PIBA version of it. Their claim about the Turbo version is that the cushioning is much improved with a denser Boomfly Plus PIBA foam, enhanced responsiveness, reduced fatigue over long distances, while the 3.0 balances softness and stability. The Turbo prioritizes dynamic return, especially at sub 4 minute per kilometer paces. If you ask me about that statement, there's really not much difference on both foams. The Turbo might just have a tiny bit more pop. Both feel like they're tuned a bit similarly. Aside from the foam, I can feel the difference of the plates. So the Carbon 3.0 Turbo does have better toe off due to the plate design. It has a rise angle of 34.5 degrees versus 31.8 degrees for the regular Carbon. This doesn't really mean the Carbon 3.0 is any less. Both pick up the pace very well and just deliver the ride a bit differently. So in summary, the Carbon 3.0 Turbo and the Carbon 3.0 foams feel nearly identical, with both only feeling a bit different with the turnover due to the plates. Aside from the midsole and plate, the weight is also lighter with the Turbo at 170 grams versus 178 for the 3.0. The measurements were based on a reference men's US size 8. On my size, the Turbo weighs 225 grams while the non-Turbo weighs 235 grams. Stack heights on both is 34mm in the heel and 30mm in the forefoot, so the stack height measurement was also based on the reference US men's 8. Now to my thoughts about using these for a while now. Bmai's claim on their website of crafting the perfect running shoe for every runner is somewhat accurate. Fast or slow, high cadence or long strides, both these shoes just work. If we try to nitpick where they excel or fall short somewhere, there's definitely something. So to where they excel first, these are very pace versatile. They cover fast to easy paces very well. Where they fall short is a bit on both extremes, like like on the very high end of fast and the very end of slow, which is really a huge coverage for any shoes. For me, both cover enough of the pace range. I mean, you can do both extremes, like very fast and very slow in these. I just noticed that you'd be better off with something else. At 5K paces, that's where you can start to nitpick that you could probably do better in another fast shoe, but it's still pretty good, especially with the turbo. So I'm just saying that max efforts is where they start to fall off a bit. It's just squishy and you can feel that energy when you power through disappear somewhere or elsewhere. When you shift to easy paces like aerobic paces, it's pleasant and effortless. Even when putting load on the heel and the midfoot as you roll through is nice. When you're going very slow, it's where you start to feel that both of these shoes are a bit too energetic, that you might be better off with a shoe that has a more natural feel. To be fair, not many shoes are very pace versatile, especially race-oriented ones like these. There's really not much to complain about since they're, I guess, okay, pretty good at 5K paces. 10K paces is a bit much better. You could breeze through 10K or half marathon paces in these. Actually very good at marathon paces. For the full marathon, I expect this to be a good cruiser. It's very light and very nimble. I want to go back again to the stack height of the shoe. Most race shoes nowadays are already at the 40mm stack limit, and this one is just a bit less in the heel. It's 34mm. It looks high stack, but it's just a very tall sidewall. What I found helps is actually adding a thin insole. This one has an insole that's sewn in, and which actually looks like it doesn't have any insole. It's pretty much a very bare bone shoe. Adding insoles took away a bit of the response. The added cushioning was a good trade-off. I added a 2 to 3mm insole in the turbo and a 4mm soft one, similar to Ortholite insoles in the Carbon 3. I like it this way, a thinner insole for the more quicker turnover one and a more cushier insole for the Carbon. I tried the opposite, but this one I have now works much better. It actually made the Carbon 3 better at cruising at marathon paces. I really actually like the experience more now. It's pretty much laid back. The turbo with the thinner responsive insole does still give that laid back experience a little bit, but I still have more of that springy response, which actually feels good at half marathon paces. And also what I found on both is when you slow down to take a quick breather or short recovery, when you push the pace back up again, it's just effortless. The Carbon 3 with the additional cushioning differs a bit in the late stages. It sort of just wants to keep you there, keep you in that controlled pace even after recovering. When sore or fatigued, both of these shoes offer seamless guidance. If you notice that the rocker isn't quite that early and it isn't also too aggressive, so the softness of the midsole at toe off sort of just feels seamless. It does have a stiffer carbon plate. Overall, light, well balanced, effortless, and actually have a lower heart rate in these when I did some tempo stuff. The only thing missing here is that raw aggressive feel, like some more aggressive race shoes, but I guess it's by design, as these should suit all runners, maybe beginners and not just elites that can make the most out of any race shoe. How I'll be using both is for tempo runs and some workouts, maybe up to 10K paces. Maybe I can insert these in some of my long runs as well. Like on peak weeks when my legs are very tired, maybe the guidance from the plates both and the cushioniness can help me push through that block. These are primarily made for race day and they're great shoes for race day, but if you plan to use these for workouts, the jog rest in between interval sets was pleasant. Warm-ups and warm-downs at slower paces was very good. I'm just a bit worried about how thin the outsoles are. They're just 2mm thick, so I'm not sure how durable they will be as trainers. Anyway, to conclude this video, the Bmai Carbon 3 and the Carbon 3.0 deliver and exceeded my expectations, especially for the price. They're around $150 or 8,000 pesos, but they feel like they should be priced well above that. They don't have anything that puts you off despite both looking bare bones. I'm really interested about this brand now, so I'm wondering how their lower tier stuff also does. The only reason you would go for pricier race shoes is if you need more cushion, especially in the heel, especially that other brands are offering pretty good race shoes right now. It's a very good time right now to be in the market for race shoes. Anyway, that's all for this update. Keep running, stay fit, and always be kind.